Hi everyone, I'm Felipe.
And I'm Lillian.
And we are the Postmodern family.
We are Americans living in the UK, reacting to Great Britain.
We make 5 new videos a week, so hit that subscribe button now.
Today we're going to discuss what's the difference between British and American comedy. Before we watch it, let's guess. Let's say what you think is the difference between British and American comedy. I mean, we've lived here now for 6 years. We've reacted to a lot of your stuff. So I want to see if your or my guess is going to line up with this. What do you think? What's the difference?
I think, as I said before, when we watched Stephen Fry, and he commented that it was about optimism versus pessimism, and I said that it's basically the American view is there is no fixed boundary to life. You can be anything almost and do anything. And in the British mindset, there's a very fixed boundary and you can't go beyond that. So it's the comedy is in accepting that lot in life and realizing that you can't do much and laughing at yourself. Whereas the American comedy is laughing at others who are not striving to be good or as good or are stupid.
Okay.
So I tend to agree with that. No boundary or far, sky's the limit versus very narrow boundary.
The American dream.
Yeah.
Being there's no end to that. You just like.
There's a vision.
The expansion. Western, what is it called? The emancipation.
Settling the West.
Yes, that's right. Kind of like that versus...
everything's settled. We're in an island. You're trapped.
For thousands of years.
We're trapped here on this island. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do.
Yeah, I think... I also think that there's this essential difference between the people that Americans tend to be very proud and kind of like big themselves up or something, whereas British people tend to be more, they're like, I don't know about humble, but they often make fun of themselves and they're
but they
really
do
down on themselves.
Unless someone comes into the scene that is being proud, then the British person will humble brag. Will brag in a way that is imperceptible. To the simpleton, let's say.
I find it kind of annoying when people say British comedy is always smarter or wittier. Have you seen Arrested Development or 21 Jump Street or even a SpongeBob episode?
Be careful, Patrick. Being an artist is a heavy responsibility. Each work of art is like a child and must be treated as such.
Come on! I was just gonna draw a cartoon.
Okay, why didn't you say so?
There's definitely very smart writing on both sides of the Atlantic. But that doesn't answer the question. What makes them different?
If we're talking about the big two, Britain and America, rest of the world.
I think the first step is to take a British comedy and see how its American adaptation changed. What's the difference between David Brent and Michael Scott? By season 2, the US Office begins its movement away from the UK original. We even see a subtle cinematic change by brightening the lights in the office. While originally just a way to differentiate it from the UK version, the added brightness seems to serve as a nice metaphor for the adaptation as a whole.
But the big difference is that Americans are more optimistic. And that's due to the fact that Americans are told they can become the next president of the United States. And they can. British people are told it won't happen to you. And they carry that. They carry that with them.
There's no doubt that America lightened up the show. Michael Scott had his failures, but there's a hope to it. In one episode, he wasn't invited to Jim's party, but shows up anyway, genuinely hurt and bitter.
Wow! Who opened the morgue for this thing?
He picks a duet song and no one will sing it with him. Reluctantly, Jim joins in, giving Michael a big cheesy smile and an overall happy ending to the episode. But when David Brent performs, it's still funny, but a different kind of funny. Nobody pities him or cheers him on, they all just watch in embarrassment.
Oh my goodness.
There's no happy ending, and it's not very hopeful. Or look at how both characters wrap up their time on the show. Spoiler alert. Michael Scott quits to move with his fiancée to Colorado, and David Brent begs for his job back.
I will try twice hard. I really will. I know I've been complacent, and I'll turn this place around if we just say that it's not definite now.
Of course, this doesn't include the Christmas special, which was a lot happier.
Put it this way, the American comic hero, like John Belushi or someone like that, is
We reacted to this one already.
Animal House, where there's a fellow playing folk music on a guitar, and John Belushi picks up the guitar and destroys it. And the cinema loved it because he just smashes it and then waggles his eyebrows at the camera. Everyone says, God, he's so great. Well, a British comedian would want to play the folk singer. We want to play the failure.
Get her engine started, leave her purring and I roll on by, free love on.
So maybe the difference is the optimistic American dream versus the dark British reality? At least that's what many people think about it.
Europe is just basically a gene pool of people whose ancestors said, I don't think I can risk. No, I can't risk it. America is a gene pool of people say, let's risk it.
Yeah,
let's try it.
But I think that answer is too easy, because you have to ignore the fact that Americans love the failures, like Shaun from Shaun of the Dead, and plenty of modern American sitcoms feature losers who never get their redemption. Frankly, I think it's an outdated theory. The past television era of Married with Children and Seinfeld and Friends always featured the classic wise guy who always had the funny one-liner for every moment.
See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation.
But I think in the last 10 years, we're starting to see a self-awareness of this American dream optimism style of comedy. In It's Always Sunny, there certainly is that feeling of hope in the characters.
Never heard of this.
They think they can
I've heard of it,
accomplish
I've not
anything,
watched
but they
it.
always take it way too far by becoming violent, cruel,
It's
and
Always Sunny
hilariously
in Philadelphia, I
backstabbing.
think
It's almost a critique on American optimism. In America, you're supposed to succeed, but at what cost?
Look, if we use a gun, we're definitely gonna need a silencer. A gun? Fine, no guns. Piano wire, okay? Maybe we can use the piano wire. Look, whatever it is, I gotta be the guy to pull the trigger on this thing.
Not to mention they always fail and face the consequences. And it seems like not one single thing ever works out for Larry in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I need them!
Step out of the car, please.
Oh, come on, are you serious?
And an episode of Louie ends with his date running into a helicopter to escape it. It doesn't get more pathetic than that. So maybe some American comedy pokes fun at the hope and lighthearted nature of past sitcoms. Or maybe American comedy is even shifting towards
I
that
actually
British
haven't seen
cynicism.
this, Shaun of
Or
the
maybe
Dead.
we'll always hold that American optimism in
neither.
our hearts. And even in the millennial generation, where the American dream seems to do nothing but screw us over, it'll always be ingrained in our culture and mindset to shrug it off and keep on trying.
I'm not going to take no for an answer because I just refuse to do that because I'm a winner. And winners, we don't listen to words like no or don't or stop. Those words are just not in our vocabulary.
I know this is a topic a lot of people get passionate about, but I hope the comment section doesn't get too heated. At least, I don't expect some kind of Spanish Inquisition.
Is this Carry On?
So,
Okay.
what'd you think?
I think it's predictable. I think we've reacted to enough stuff now to know what the arguments are going to be for
But
and against.
did he introduce anything new though to
No,
the discussion?
I don't think so. I think it is true that now that we're in the modern day, there's a lot of globalization. There's cross comedy culture now, so I think we're becoming more and more similar. Yeah, there are
I haven't
similarities.
seen I haven't seen the optimism creep into British comedy at all.
Right.
What I have seen, is cynicism creep into the American
Yes.
comedy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a cross-cultural exchange or is it really just the sun setting on a culture? What he did add was that some recent American comedy is critiquing the American dream, saying that people take it too far, that you must have the dream no matter what the cost.
Yeah.
And whereas before American comedy didn't have that critique.
Yeah, I think American Beauty would be a good example of the.
But that's not a comedy,
killing.
that's a
It's
drama.
not, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it was basically critiquing the American dream and how depressing it really is. Like, actually, it's not this amazing thing. You're just a failure.
Yeah, but I think definitely if you look at, if I'm not mistaken too, that Roman and Greek comedy or creative arts, when they started critiquing themselves, is right about the time the sun started setting on them.
There was someone had Googled what is the average lifespan of an empire. They said it was 250 years. And so people are saying that America has been around for 245 years. And that's basically, like you say, the sun is setting on this empire.
But it hasn't been an empire for 250 years.
That's
it's only
true.
been an empire for maybe since World War II. So maybe
Okay.
50 years.
Okay.
I think whereas the British were an empire late 18th century, mid 18th century, let's say, where they had possessions across the world. And that lasted up to the early 1900s. So that is 200 plus years.
Okay.
But to be just a handful of colonies, have a civil war
That's
amongst
true.
yourselves, and then really burst into the world scene in World War II.
Yeah.
It's really quite new. But
Okay.
but from a fast-paced globalism perspective, 250 years can be maybe condensed into 50 years. Who knows? 50, 70 years. Not that I would want to usher in the demise of the United States, but perhaps Trump is an embodiment of American dream, and no matter what the cost, in the sense that, yeah, he fights and he keeps going, but the fight continues even if it's scorched earth, even if it scorches the systems and the traditions and the...
Do you think that's what he's done, though?
I think in the last couple months, I get a sense of that a little bit, where he's dispensed with almost every inherited mode of transitioning and civility, and like I can understand and appreciate his pushback on political correctness, but I think his "I'm going to win at no matter the cost" narcissism
But
has
if he
sort of...
truly believes that he actually won and that it was a fraudulent election,
Yeah.
then wouldn't it be right for him if he has some whatever evidence or he truly believes it? Wouldn't it be the American thing to do to see that truth is out and sets you free and that he's gonna...
No, because basically the way I analyze it is like it's like a football game, like football. If you're playing on someone else's turf, you're the visiting team, which he is the visiting team because he's an outsider. And you know, therefore, that the refs are sympathetic to the home team. You know, the home audience is sympathetic to the home team. So that's the press, that's social medias and everything. If you lose the game and you fought as hard as you could, but you lost the game because the refs are corrupt, because the audience is cheering the home team only, you don't torch the whole stadium.
But is he?
But that's kind of along those lines, torching you basically say, okay, I've lost this game, I'm going to come back and fight another day. You don't sort of dismantle the whole league.
Right.
And so if it seems like he's inching the United States as a society into a space where there is greater risk of civil war and of separation, then that's basically torching the whole system, in my view. He should retool. Okay, he fought as hard as he could. He lost by corruption, maybe in his opinion. But you retool and you come back and you do something else and you fight. But to basically, set fire to the whole league and the whole stadium and the whole union is for me a bit too much. A bit of a critique on American dream at all cost, kind of win at all cost. It's what are you winning? You have to preserve not just truth, but preserve the union, both together. And Lincoln had the advantage that he had superior force. He had the North with him, and he could preserve the union and truth. But
I think that you've adopted more of a British mindset on this because I think, like, if you look at American films and things, you always want to hold out like that last hope that the one person who's gonna save everyone is gonna stick to his guns and do it.
But I'm not saying he shouldn't stick to his guns. He should definitely see when he's gone, even if he won, right? Even if he won and he did another term, what's after, right? What does he leave? What kind of party? What kind of next level person is going to take up the truth that he's left behind?
I don't know if he's interested in leaving a party behind. I think he's interested
Not just leaving
in
a party,
good policies, good economy.
No, but see, those are all short-lived, short-sighted issues. If what's at stake is the truth being accepted by Americans or not. I'm not talking about election. I'm just talking about big capital letter true, T. Just truth about gender, truth about beauty, truth about abortion, truth about just truth.
Mm-hmm.
If he's interested in winning that,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I think, what he should be interested in,
Mm-hmm.
then losing an election is not losing the war.
Mm-hmm.
But for him, losing this election is like losing everything. And he's
Mhm.
willing to torch it all. So the movie that I would make would be he loses this election, but somehow retools and leaves behind an organization, an institution, an entity that is going to continue fighting for truth and is going to win.
Hmm.
Whereas he's just a one-man battering ram. And maybe
Mhm.
that's just his personality.
Mhm.
But it's not un-American or more British to say that he should leave something long-lasting. If the movie ends with him winning the second election, and then the next generation is a complete collapse
Mhm.
of that. The next election, let's say he wins the second term.
Why are you even going there, though? I mean, who said he would do that? It's not
Who would do what?
that after a second election that he would leave behind nothing. Why are you going so far to say that?
Because I can see now that he's left behind nothing. Right now, if as he departs,
Mhm.
there is nothing left except the American people who believed in his vision.
Right.
That's it. There's no alternative media that he helped support, no laws that he brought in to rein in the social media monopolies for free speech, right? His legacy is in tatters right now. And he's torched it by the way that he's handled this last situation.
I think a lot of people who have been skeptical of Trump but ended up supporting him because he's against abortion and he wants to protect borders and things like that, and they hold their nose from his rhetoric. I think that they wouldn't perceive him as leaving nothing. I think they perceive him as wanting to what they call drain the swamp, which is expose all the corruption.
But he failed absolutely in that. He made all the wrong moves. He fired General Flynn in his first year.
Yeah.
He had 2 years of Congress, Republican Congress, complete control. What did he do? He passed a tax relief instead of passing laws against social media. Whenever his supporters got killed or maimed in riots, no support, no moral support, no raising of funds, no laws, no putting away district attorneys who were light on the perpetrators or perpetrators of those things. So he's let his narcissism consume himself. Because his narcissism seems to have no bounds, I think that's obvious to everyone. I appreciate his courage and how he stands up for what he believes, regardless of insurmountable odds. But it seems to be inseparable.
He doesn't know when to stop.
He doesn't know. No, he doesn't. The basic desire in him is to win. It's not truth, because he's modulated on his stances
Of truth, yeah.
correct
That's true.
And it's basically win. And the American people would be best served by preserving the Union with truth preserved, or if you lose the truth, still preserve the Union but fight another day for the truth, not destroy the Union because you've lost. And because he didn't put the right and what am I? I'm just a pleb. I'm just a citizen. Who knows? Maybe if I was president, I couldn't do as good enough job as him. But I must say I'm disappointed in what he could have done. What he could have done and how he could have ended this. Right now, as it stands, it looks like if he ran again 4 years later, I don't think he wins. He embodies that critique of the American. If the American dream is just to win a certain set of things at all costs, then he's an embodiment of that.
Yeah,
Let's say the
but
American
it's
dream is
not.
the house, the 1.2 garage, the 3 kids, the 2 vacations a year or whatever, at the cost of, I don't know, slaving away at a job that you hate, eating garbage because you're always working, and so you work at your desk and you eat fast food. And basically the average American male pursuing the average American dream is so unhealthy, so unhappy, that it is a charade, right? For me, the American dream is making a home with your family for the sake of protecting and providing and generating another generation, creating another generation of individuals who will believe and uphold the truth, the goodness of freedom and the goodness of...
Yeah, but the average American these days they don't even have this set of beliefs. So they're just there for the consumerism.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they've the American dream is now consumeristic, basically.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do about values anymore. And in that sense, it's a charade. And I would agree. Yeah.
And then the British, do you think that there's no dream? They're not dreaming?
No, I think their idea is to try to find contentment in what you've been given. But they never do. So they're constantly unhappy, constantly whinging about whether it be the weather or whether about the politics or whether it be about the neighbor who's making too much noise. There's always something not right with the world.
So they must love COVID. Something to whinge about.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching this episode. We hope you enjoyed our own take of the differences between British and American comedy. And do be polite and civil in the comments. Thanks. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.